is just a ridiculous hero this patch.
I just don't see Io living in fights, basically. As soon as he drops Necro and pops his ult, he doesn't even have to go hit Io. He can just send his Necros at it. Io has to leave.
Io needs to get a Ghost Step there ASAP. And sure, but he'll probably be too poor to afford that.
Yeah. Can't even go Glimmer Cape, because then the Necros will see him.
Yeah.
So.
I haven't seen a huge amount of Alchemist this time, really. Why?
It's a little bit on the downswing. Teams are better at playing against it. They got the Radiance nerfs. I don't think that was that significant. But
well, a lot of teams are playing faster. Alchemist is not a fast hero by any means. You want your mid hero to be able to initiate, to start fights, to contribute to team fights. Alchemist doesn't do that, and teams have been shying away from that. I think part of the reason that we're seeing it here with VICI Reborn is that they haven't adapted to that meta. You saw that with the last game. You saw that in their series against EG, where they pick slower. They pick heroes that take it to the late game. They like their Morphlings, their
be okay, because Alchemist middle is very hard to kill when there's an IO behind him protecting him. So if they can get through the greed, it should be alright for them. And I expect DC to pick up Invoker. They ran Invoker Lycan yesterday, with a couple with the Witch Doctor as well. And I don't see how this is a bad Invoker game at all. Alchemist IO can't really pressure Invoker too much. It'd be a really good Invoker game.
Yeah, with the DP band as well.
Right.
yeah, like if they'll need another stun setup. Batrider's already gone. They definitely would pick that. Something they've been drafting.
Yeah.
Well, what's a good setup here? Venge could still be grabbed.
Yeah, if they do pick up the Invoker, they want something to set up those Sunstrike kills. Lion would be better. Lion would be real good, but looks like they're going to avoid that completely with the Dazzle.
Well, there's 2 healing supports already.
It's very defensive. I'm actually pretty surprised.
Yeah. Sort of. I mean, they can play it aggressive. They can heal bomb on Lycan Wolves while they're invis. There's little things like that.
Sure, but that's not ideal at all. That's not, you know, you don't really, that doesn't have the same impact as a Lion stun or even Avenge or an Earth Spirit.
Well, if they don't go Invoker, then I think Dazzle's okay. It can work. Like Weave plus Witch Doctor ulti plus Lycan right clicks, that's actually going to do a lot. If Alchemist has tons of regen and a medium amount of armor, then Weave is going to cut through that, and it could make Alchemist look super squishy if they get a little bit more lockdown.
You know what approach I think DC is going to try and take this game is a lot of 5-man push. If you notice, they have 2 healing defensive supports and Lycan. So, and they've seen that VICI is going to try and take this late with an Alchemist, so they're going to try and punish that by taking down towers in a healing death ball.
Can I get an FY Rubik?
I'm a bit worried for DC though. They have no roaming support, and when you play against Alchemist, there's always this time when you will farm the jungle stacks, which I will make sure that they're there. And then DC can't really fight into that too early, because they need level 6 on Witch Doctor, level 6 on Dazzle, and of course the Lycan is going to transition into the jungle pretty early, but only one support will have level 6, and I don't think they can contest the stacks, which means Alchemist could get out of control if they're not careful.
I'm not too worried about it. I feel like Dazzle's okay roaming 3-6. Witch Doctor can be okay if he's got a Maledict. It just comes down to their next 2 heroes, and Slardr's a good way to start that. It's a stun, the amp damage. They're doing, I mean, Slardr plus Dazzle, like, that's what they did there. They grabbed Dazzle, more minus armor. They grabbed Slardr, more minus armor. All of their heroes do minus armor damage. At some point, when you get 4 minus armors, you can't actually play against that. It's just too much.
Alchemist needs AC and Shiva's Guard to even stay in the positive this game, but he doesn't have the slots for that. I really like the draft from DC so far.
Yeah, the Slardr pick also gives them the option of perhaps aggressively dueling with Slardr Witch Doctor or Slardr Dazzle. Their draft is very open-ended.
Yeah. They just need their last hero to be potentially active, have some aggression, especially earlier than Slardr Blink, because they can't just rely on smokes to initiate those ganks in the early game. If they do that, they might be in a bit of a hard place.
Picking a Invoker seems really greedy, although I think it's still possible, because DC in general, they always want to have like a farming core on Wii.
It's okay here, I think. With Slardr, it's a bit better.
I would like something to set up fights. You know what? Something we might see is the Weehaw Wind Ranger.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. Especially with Slardr, it's great.
Yeah, and it's a setup stun that allows DC to start fights without needing that Blink Dagger.
Meepo?
I don't think they need to here. Like Meepo, they could pick Meepo, but
super greedy.
Why not just go with the synergy that they already have? They have tons of minus armor. They should pick somebody that's just straightforward single core damage.
Meepo is good, but they don't need to force it down, especially not against a Gyro, who's really good against Meepo generally. I think they should really just stick to like something like a Windrunner, some single target DPS burst, but physical, not magical.
Yep.
So both Invoker and Windrunner or Windranger are definitely a good possibility here.
Windranger would be really hard to kill in the early game too against IO Alchemist, Rubik, Gyro. Gyro has a decent amount of damage, but I mean that's about it. He can just guarantee that Elk doesn't do damage to him. He can always focus fire. If there's amp damage and focus fire, he's gonna die really fast.
And Elk IO can't threaten a Windrunner at all. They might even still lose the lane if Windrunner gets like a couple of good power shots in.
Yeah.
I was looking at Wii's top 10 played heroes over the last 3 months this morning. Invoker, Dragon Knight, Phantom Lancer, Lina, which we haven't seen in this tournament so far, Alchemist, and Jakiro. They're his most played heroes over the last few months.
Lina could work.
I'd be really surprised.
That would be 94.
Lina would be surprised, but Lina generally is very, very strong against IO and mid lanes.
It's good against Gyro as well.
Like Gyro BKB doesn't matter, you just buy Aghanims and you burst him down immediately.
They're going to ban the Invoker here, aren't they?
I don't know.
Not too sure about that.
I do like the Windranger better than the Invoker.
I do too.
Hell, I almost like the Lina better than the Invoker here, just because of the burst damage.
Yeah.
It's pretty close though. I think DC's fine with any of those 3 heroes. Really.
Yeah.
Like their draft already is so cohesive. They can go lots of different ways.
Or they do ban the Meepo.
Meepo would have been scary, definitely, but it's more of a space creator, not a high ground pusher, and I would like them to do something that synergizes with their lineup that also has potential to take towers, and Meepo sometimes is iffy on that.
Although something I just realized, like in the Howl, it affects all 5 Meepos. It is like some sick DPS.
Yeah, but it also affects Windranger. You know, like there's so much,
Disgusting
so many good things about DC's draft right now. Those 4 heroes together just give you so many possibilities.
I agree.
I mean, did VICI go for the Invoker here, or is that just?
No, I think they need something in the offlane right
Yeah.
now. They need an offlane initiator to help them start fights. There's still the Tidehunter, which they do tend to favor.
I think. I don't like Bristol at all against all that minus armor already.
Yeah, I don't like this either. It's so hard for them to start fights on their terms. Like this patch is all about who gets the initiation on somebody.
I mean, we can look at it why they pick it. They're not going to do the IO Alchemist as we thought in middle. They're going to do IO Bristol in the offlane to really pressure the Lycan. But if that doesn't work, then I actually don't see a way how BG wins this game.
And they can
It's a
still
tough game.
They can still save Tri-Lane as well. And then it's what, Slardar versus Rubik Gyro. That's actually kind of scary. Slardar might have a tough time there.
Wow. Okay. Let's
the
break
middle
out something
Tempestar?
that we don't play very often.
It is so good against Bristol and Alchemist though, and IO as well. This pick is actually amazing.
Yeah, it actually is. The damage potential for it, it's a different page than the physical damage. It's a great hero.
Okay, very quickly down the line. Charlie, who's had a better draft?
DC?
Very obvious, I think, this time around. Black.
DC definitely.
Okay, unanimous decision from the judges on the panel. DC, 1-0 up already. Can they claim a second and make a top 8 finish here at the Major? Let's find out in Game 2.
Thank you very much, Paul. Indeed, as we get ourselves ready for Game 2 between DC and VICI Gaming, we heard from the panel, Ben, not a lot of confidence here on VICI Gaming's draft. Do you agree, or do you have anything to say otherwise?
DC's lineup is way better.
Okay, I mean, the finishing pick here, this Timbersaw, they have got 3 strength heroes on VICI Gaming, as they talked about the strengths. There was a ban on the Meepo. Do you think we may have seen the Meepo if VICI Gaming hadn't banned it?
I was pumped for it.
I was as well. But the way it's had, we've got to sell with a wee hard Timbersaw, which I'm sure people are going to be very happy about seeing as well. So without any further ado, let's get ourselves into Game 2.
Digital Chaos versus VICI Gaming Reborn.
Here we have it then indeed, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ourselves through with the rundown of both of the teams in this matchup. So Ben, VICI Gaming's draft, as they said towards the start, as soon as we saw the Alchemist, there's that feeling that VICI wanted to kind of take this on late, but at the same time, as the panel said, this current meta, it's all about kind of getting the early game momentum, and DC, they have a lineup to do that. I mean, how did VICI Gaming hold off against DC's push?
Well, first they need to stop Lycan from taking down all their towers, which they don't have that much AoE. Maybe if Gyro gets really big and they team fight well early, but most of the time they're going to be 4 or 5 anyways. IO can't contribute that much to team fights, and I think if they take it late, Timbersaw is going to be immortal if he gets any armor item plus weave. Bristle's not going to do any damage to him. Alchemist is going to get chopped. IO's going to die instantly in team fights, and it's going to be a very uphill battle from VICI Reborn. They need a lot more farm. They were starting that, though. We saw some tethers on the ancient trees, so they can...
Rune-wise, DC around the bottom. Move's going to come towards the top. Ooh, trying for a bit of a cheeky play. I think as we can see from this, yeah, indeed, No was still able to grab that, so out getting that nice start with the bounty rune. Lane-wise, it looks to be pretty much what we'd expect to see. Well, for the time being, we are going to have the Dazzle on the top lane helping out the Slardar. So this bottom lane, I mean, how well is the Bristle going to do in terms of slowing down the farm here on the Lycan? Is this going to be a really hard lane for resolution, or can he still play around it with the help of Saxon?
I think clearly that's what DC were scared of with the last ban on the Axe. And Crystal not as good at pressuring, I would say, as the Axe, but still pretty decent. I think more so they're going to be concentrated on his farm, with Wisp trying to be around the Ancients to constantly stack it up and just check runes now and then. So as long as Bristle gets farm, I think they're okay, more so than limiting Lycan's farm.
And it's going to be interesting with FY as well on this side, because obviously, as they were saying in the panel, they were wondering if it was going to be the Alk-IO combination towards the mid lane. And without the IO to back him up, he could have a bit of a tricky time against Weehaw, surely, on the Timbersaw.
There's nothing that Timbersaw can do too much about Acid Spray, and Timbersaw's base damage is not that great, so he can't deny too many creeps and stop his gold. And Timbersaw does not have the best rune control to prevent Alchemist from getting those huge bounty runes.
Top lane, just a bit of action here, just grabbing him and bringing back Misery, but no follow through for the time being.
I like the way DC drafted this game and last game to set up to win all three lanes. I think if Timber gets free farm in mid, which he pretty much is getting right now, he's going to be well ahead of the Alchemist in farm, then they're on their way to a great start. And it's going to continue to Roche's later because of the Lycan. And I think their lineups are also very good at dealing with farm single cores. They have the Maledict from the Witch Doctor, they amplify damage from the Slar, so if someone is very tanky and very farm, they can still bring them down very easily. Last game they had a Doom for this specific purpose.
I mean, if you are VGR, how do you deal with the fact that as you said, DC do feel to have the stronger lanes? Do you have to just try and stay as stable as you can, or can we expect to see kind of rotations coming out, maybe looking to try and gank Weehaw, or just as a Timbersaw, is that just a gank that you can't really afford to attempt?
Who do they gank with? Maybe the Rubik. I don't think he can make plays on his own. He doesn't have boots. Usually the Wisp support partner buys all the items so he can get the early bottle, but I think with Rubik, the only hero that can really make plays with him, they need to prioritize more farm on him. Maybe a Blink Dagger, definitely boots, and I don't see them being able to put that much pressure. Where's the upside for VICI's lineup? All they can really do is stack a lot, get a lot of Grievous Greed, and do Ancient stacks for Bristle. But in terms of getting kills, in terms of getting objectives, there's that much that they have going for them.
See as well, just on the spot on lane, Saxon doing a pretty good job at trying to keep the Bristle out of it. It's fairly even at the moment with CS on that bottom lane. Yang on 14 for 1, 12 for 2 on Resolution. The mid lane matchup still slightly going the way of Weehaw with the Whirling Death spam. He's been managing to just keep ahead with the wave clear. As we can see, just with the poor man's shield and a couple of points into reactive armor. Not a huge amount that this out can do in terms of beating him out in the lane. Bottom, Yang trying to go a bit aggressive here. The nice cask bounces will hold back the aggression from Yang and FY. Solution will be safe for the time being. And the top lane, Slardar, 10 for 5. Move. He's having a pretty nice time really against End, who's only on 11 for 2. So Slardar's getting a lot out of this lane, and it doesn't seem like the Gyro's getting enough.
Nope, their VICI Reborn are only slightly winning the bottom, and the other two lanes are not going well for them at all. So going to have to rely on those neutral creeps.
You need to be careful there. I mean, he had 4 Quill Spray stacks on him, and rather low indeed. Does have the salve and getting himself back up into a tip-top shape. And just heading over as well, and out.
They're just concentrating on mass stacking, although Wisp, I don't think, got any of those stacks.
Unlucky with the timings there, by looks of it, yeah, indeed, for F1. But no, he's been pretty fortunate with the bounty runes that he's finding. He did just pick up a second one here at the 4-minute mark. Top lane, that's to end. Well, he's back up for the time being, and it's going to be fine. Not enough punch from the side of DC to bring him down. FY will get the tether across. So they've got to be careful with this guy. They cannot afford to allow N to go down on this safe lane. That really would be crumbling here for the side of VICI Gaming.
I would like to see a Blightstone coming out from Misery. They have a lot of physical damage output in this lane. Combine that with the Howl from Resolution, it should be, I think, a very easy kill on the Gyrocopter, who doesn't have that much armor and does not have the Wisp up top to support him most of the time.
We're seeing that again, just trying to go for a bit of aggression onto Yang, but a little bit harder to take down than he was on the side, even with the Maledict. Bristleback doing a fair bit with that passive. And still the mid lane, 30 for 14 onto Weeha. He's been given pretty much a free lane now, outside back into the jungle. They've tried to put the Rubik mid to get him towards that level 6. Top end still being kept alive by FY, but the farm really has taken a hit. 17 for 3 on the Jara, 23 for 10 on Muslada. That is not how they envision the top lane to go. And Weeha actually coming for a bit of a rotation. He's level 6, puts out Nono in the jungle, and it's going to come over as well. We'll see how much they can do to deal with him, and not a lot. Weeha just playing around with these boys, and well, Shakram's out. He's got eyes towards FY, trying to timber chain across. He'll turn and getting bursted down incredibly low, but with the telekinesis, BGR looking to punish this one. Weeha may have got a little bit too aggressive here. Let's see how long he can keep himself alive. He's low on the mana, low on the health, out of bottle charges, and comes round for Rocket Barrage, and Weeha maybe getting a little bit too cocky there, Ben.
Even 4-on-1, it was still very difficult to bring down the Timbersaw, and he was just looking for an easy stack steal. Maybe Alchemist would have been low without Chemical Rage, but instead finding pretty much the whole team there.
Absolutely, getting the first blood onto end on a Jara, who was not having a great start in lane. BGR are going to be very happy with that indeed. Phase boost now done on him as well, so got that extra little bit more kill potential. Another bounty rune for Nono. Indeed, as we saw, he was able to clean up a fair few stacks indeed, so the out getting into a bit of a better place.
Yang on bottom.
And indeed trying to have a go on him, but he's got the backup of FY. He's going to be fine, and in fact, eyeing up, going back in, looking for Resolution, TPing from Misery. They are fairly low on DC.
I think this is the third salve up on Lycan right now. I think I would have liked to see a 1-1-1 build out from Saxa so he can help Resolution invest in a Vlad's, something that's way better long-term than multiple salves. With the Maledict, it's not as useful when there's a healing source from the other team, which is the Wisp.
It is top, trying to set something up. Boo, he will get himself out of the initial cooldown fall down, but here with the telekinesis, bringing it back in. A couple more clicks for DDC, should do it, and they will. A second kill for VICI Gaming Reborn. The kills that they're desperate for after the kind of the way that the last hitting's been going, but 2 of those kills, both of them involving the Gyrocopter, so suddenly this top lane taking a bit of a turn for the better for VICI Gaming.
That was a nice catch by VICI Reborn, realizing that the Dazzle had TP down bottom. Witch Doctor almost certainly going to stay down there to keep on babysitting Resolution and finding that small window of opportunity and move, maybe getting a little bit greedy, hoping that he could get that 10-minute Blink Dagger timing. And now they scout out the stacks, constantly trying to find out where they are. However, there's no wars out there. The supports have not been able to venture towards that side of the map because they have 2 very defensive healing-based supports. And the Lycan Wolves also trying to scout out any farming maneuver by VGR.
Nice on to Saxa. Saxa needs to be careful. Whoa, a Quill Spray stacking up and ripping through the body of the Witch Doctor. Did have 9 stick charges there, but wasn't able to get them off by the looks of it. Or just felt that his fate was inevitable. The 3rd kill for VICI Gaming. Resolution having to back up now as FY is coming across with Yang. Resolution got to be careful here. Is on his own at the moment on the Lycan, and Yang will start to skip the creep wave, get a bit of pressure down onto this tier 1 on the bottom lane, and all things said and done, VICI Gaming really kind of coming into their element here at this point of the game and having a much better start than they did in game 1. Resolution though, with the ultimate, trying to make a beeline for FY. Take him down. Can Yang keep the Wolf off the ball? And well, FY trying to juke it out in the trees. One more touch. Resolution will be able to get the kill, but it only just gets away. He does get away with it, Resolution. Meanwhile, mid lane, eyes onto Nono. So a hard kill there with the Chemical Rage, regen up, TP in from DDC, but we are making a beeline straight for the Rubik. Getting the Chakram slow, trying to allow the catch for the rest of his side, but they can't quite chase it down. Ends come in, the crush is going to be missed by Move. Cast comes out, Maledict onto the Jaren with the Chakra, the burst from Timber, can they kill him? No! FY coming across, keeping End alive. Weeha's got to be careful, maybe overextended again here, and Weeha going to get taken down. Eyes onto Misery, it's a double kill with Yang. A great reaction there from VICI Gaming Reborn as the 5 of them coming towards the mid lane. 5 for 1 here. And this is going absolutely perfectly for the moment. 10 minutes in, they had a bit of a slow start, but they picked up the kills. They've been reacting very nicely to DC's plays, and they're coming out on top, Ben.
Yeah, together, they're actually playing as a team. Last game, it just felt like, okay, let's hope that Morphling gets really late farm, but even from the get-go, the Wisp and the IO and the Wisp and the Bristle and the offlane constantly pressuring the Lycan. I don't think that DC expected this sort of transition from game 1 to game 2.
And this is really, really impressive play here from VICI Gaming with the tools at their disposal. Now the fact that 10 minutes in, Yang's now got the mech online. So the next push, the next reaction is going to be even harder for DC to even dream of finding a kill out of it. They need to find a way of playing their way around this. I mean, how do you react to the way that VICI Gaming is playing? If you're DC, do you kind of have to tone down the aggressiveness and try and look to get a bit more space just for resolution on the Lycan? And I mean, what do you do with Weehar's Timber? What is the ideal situation for him to be in there?
I think it's the follow-up after Slaughter gets his Blink Dagger. I think they need to focus on that first and foremost. They need to gather more intelligence, scout out really deep with the Lycan, and take smart fights before the Wisp gets relocate. He is only 4.5 right now. I'm not sure if there's a tone coming up towards him. Doesn't look like it at the moment. But before he has relocate, they should have better information around the map.
Z-Top as well. DC did have 2 up there, but with the ward, they will notice that DDC is there on the Rubik to back up any kind of action. No. I mean, with the Chemical Rage, just feeling confident he can walk in and get that CS, and we have the burst to deal with it. Not scared at all of the Timber Saw whilst his ult is up, this Alchemist.
If VICI win like one more fight, that's kind of the free ticket for Alchemist Radiance. He has 3,100 gold right now, and still not guaranteed that he's going to get it at a good time.
It's that bottom lane they really want to try for this Yang kill. Weeha, TP down here.
Nah, not with the neck.
I can't catch that one out.
They also need to get Timbersaw more tanky. Right now, he doesn't have any HP items. He has all those small items at the start, but he was, I think, #1 in CS early on. Now he's #5 in net worth.
He's really taking it. I mean, at least for Mu, he has got that Blink Dagger pretty much done. He is sitting on the 22, 47, 48, 49, and there we have it. So Blink Dagger now online for the Slardar. I mean, it really feels like DC, they need to make something big happen with this.
They need to
one.
kill the Wisp or the Rubik early on in the fight. However, DDC can make big plays with a quick telekinesis, and I wonder if they're going to smoke for this one. Yep, here they go with the smoke reveal near the T2.
See if they can catch. A jump on the end would be nice. Just have the backup of Rubik. See what DDC can do if they go on it and move. Going to try for it, jumps in, but straight away the reaction from DDC. Away the amplifier as well. It's a nice steal for DDC. One coming across. We're going to see Resolution trying to make a beeline straight for DDC. Nice cooldown from N, just zoning out the rest of DC so they can't pursue for this kill. And with the Blink Dagger reveal on Mu, they're unable to find anything at a time where, as we said, they really needed to get that kill.
DDC was just ready for that, and he stole Amp, so Resolution doesn't want to go in with Amp on him. He does have a little bit of armor from the Vlaz, but that won't stop him from getting bursted down by the gyrocopter. A nice defensive call down. It didn't hit anyone, but he knew that they were outnumbered and outgunned at that point in time.
And as you said, this is going to be a very good timing for the Radiance on No. And with the start that VGR have had, considering all things said and done before the game, how do they deal with an out that's got ahead at this stage of the game?
Take down towers. All T1s are still up on the side of VGR. This is what the Lycan in the game. It's 13 minutes in. If they don't get those T1s, they don't get the Roche. And without Roche, Lycan is very, very weak. It's kind of like Ursa in that regard. He's great on paper, but if you fall behind like this and you can't get any objectives, suddenly he's just way behind in net worth and can't man up versus any of these VGR cores.
We're very close as well to the point where FI will have the relocate online. Level 5.5 at the moment on the IO. We'll see if anything kicks off down towards this bottom lane. VGR got a fair few around at the same time.
I think it's more, they should use the relocate way more defensively than offensively, and just try and out-farm. That's what they're doing right now. Look how many stacks there are. They're slaying the Ancients right now. They have Gyrocopter, Bristle, and Alchemist. All of these heroes just thrive off stacks, and doesn't matter if it's Ancients or just regular neutrals, they can get a ton of gold that way, and that gold lead's approaching 7,500 for VGR. DC, they need to start doing something soon.
So it's going to be harder and harder, as you said already. Just the fact that they are going to be able to use the relocate defensively. I mean, who does Mu make the jump on? You do kind of, I feel like you've got to catch out the IO. Yeah, you've got to catch out these backliners because they'll be there to save the Gyro or the Alchemist. And now you look at the Bristleback, the fact that Yang, he has that Vanguard on top of the mech. He himself, he doesn't even need saving. I mean, you jump on this Bristle, you're not going to be able to burst him down, and he's going to be able to live through the initial initiation.
maybe they'll be able to get this T1 on top. Mu is in position in case a solo hero defends, but if he goes in, like let's say a solo hero TPs in, he goes in, they just relocate, and then suddenly it'll be 3-on-2. So they have to be very careful about that. Oh, Wolves coming in, will seal that tower.
At the same time, VGR just looking for the tier 1 trade on towards the bottom. Only Misery and we are hanging around down here. So VGR, not too much to be scared of. We will get the final touch up top, so a little bit more gold into the bank of this Slaughter. VGR take down one tower. We'll see what the next bit of plan is. There is, of course, Roshan up. We'll see if any team wants to try and go for it. And obviously with the amp and the like, and DC, they have really good Roche taking potential, but...
So do VGR.
Yeah, with the bristle to tank it and such.
And the goo.
Yeah.
Well, maybe looking to make a move right now. Who did they gank? Ideally, you gank Alchemist. They haven't been able to set up any wards to gank the stacks. Now we see one at 15 minutes, but that's far too late. It's on the Dire T2 on the top side, but they have not been close to the Ancients. I saw we scouted out one time, but aside from that, no control at all. And now they see the Wolves. The Wolves aren't smoked, so that they know they're probably heading for this area. No.
Yeah, he needs to be careful. He's kind of walked into this one, amplified down. A cooldown will be there as he's ready for the reaction. Resolution getting dragged in the middle of it all. Resolution up, down. He needs to go down. Yang trying to go through in the shallow grave will allow Resolution to get out, but they've lost the Dazzle. Move falling low as well as VGR moving in for more. Bursting down Saxer on the Witch Doctor. It's a double kill for End. Yang taking down the Slardar as well. 3 more kills for VGR. It stands 8-1. They'll head into the pit. And at this point, I mean, this is really crumbling for DC. A total turnaround here in Game 2 compared to Game 1.
DC did not expect that they would be prepared with the Observers and the Sentries, thinking that the Lycan Wolves would give them a free scouting out. But VGR, they knew exactly what they were up to. But DC, they're feeling that they're getting outfarmed everywhere. Can the Wolves make a play here?
Trying to go for a bit of a cheeky sniper search, but indeed not going to be there. VGR taking Roshan Aegis now onto End's Gyrocopter.
They didn't even get any wards up with that smoke. At the very least, you'd want to get some wards so you can potentially gank that Ancients. But how much gold has VGR gained from this one spawn?
Absolutely, as we can see there, over a 10k lead at this stage. Obviously, to some extent, it's going to be expected and kind of inflated by the fact that they do have an Alchemist, but still, 10k, that's the exact kind of lead that you'll be very happy with the kind of lineup VGR have. And a lineup as well that, you know, was thought to maybe suffer a little bit at the start, but they played it perfectly. And DC, they feel like they're struggling this game. They just don't have an answer to the way that VGR's playing.
Not at the moment. Maybe when Timbersaw gets more farm, they can burst down the Wisp without the help of the Slardar. Right now, it seems like the only threat is a Slardar jump, and as such, DDC can prepare for that with a defensive telekinesis, and they can kind of nullify any threat that DC has in a team fight. But if we can get big, then he can roll in. Maybe VGR won't be so set up with their positioning. Maybe their support will clump up. Then they can hit the 2-man stun. Then Lycan can run in and just grab their back lines.
VGR, of course, with the Aegis and the belt of End, feeling very strong and confident here with the push. Only Saxer and Wheat down here at the moment. As we can see, just scared to try and make a move here. We are onto them. Playing very, very reserved. Even as a Timbersaw realizes the fact that VGR, they certainly have the potential to bring that man down. He's already died twice this game. And unable to find himself any favorable kind of action. Only been able to farm around the map. Moves in again. Eyes onto TDC with a nice wraparound, and this is what we're talking about. We've got to be careful about being caught out like this. We'll get the Timber Chain off, but the cooldown slows there. They'll get themselves in closer personal. The stolen cast bouncing between the two of them. DDC setting it up perfectly there for the side of VICI Gaming Reborn, taking 2 from DC. And it really has not been the Timbersaw game for Weehar, it seems, Ben.
It most certainly has not. And the reactive armor plus Weave maybe can keep him alive, but the gyro pick just adds that extra level of damage to VGR's lineup with a massive amount of magic. And the Dragon Lance too, especially difficult for all these melee heroes to get in range to deal damage to them.
And to come in, Misery and Mu are there. They do also have Resolution, who's been quietly farming up the jungle of VGR, trying to find any kind of space he can to get those Necro books online. Manta now on End. I mean, 19 minutes in, the pace of this game is going perfectly for VICI Gaming Reborn. Alchemist continuing to farm. Manta is going to be the next time. He's kind of halfway there at the moment. TP's coming into the top. It's just going to be, of course, the Alk just clearing out the wave, but this is really, it's not looking good for DC. They need to do something, Ben. And what is it at this stage?
They can hope for a bad relocate from VTR. Like, let's say they think that Lycan's getting out of control. They just need to kill him a couple more times. Maybe they can sit behind him with a cast into like a death ward with Timbersaw sitting behind with his burst. But I don't think VTR are going to make that kind of mistake. I don't really think that they're in a position where they feel like they have to go for any sort of risky move. Just keep farming up stacks, get oodles and oodles of gold on the Alchemist, and they can proceed into the late game with heavy confidence.
Look at this in the mid lane. DDC so something up with the telekinesis end, not wanting to commit the cooldown. Doesn't feel confident on the potential to go for that kill, and aware that DC may have backup behind. Top lane. See also a bit of a go here from VGR. No, and FY leading in, but Resolution turns around, chops him easy onto FY, but he gets himself out here. With the TP, he's fine. Resolution will continue to chase down No TP reactions at the moment, but the Chemical Rage regen more than enough to get him out. Meanwhile, mid lane going in onto DDC, but the turnaround's there, coming in with a cooldown, looking to take down the Witch Doctor. He's got a mega kill streak now for the man on the gyro end. We trying to move in and burst down FY, but at this stage he just doesn't have the damage to do so. Misery has to grave himself, get back up to the high ground. Saxa gets the cask out, but there's no follow-up from DC. They'll now move back in on the Timber, going across here, but still they just can't seem to finish off these heroes. Saxa coming close to being brought down again. Yang trying to get the final quill spray in. He'll just turn around, go for Wii instead. They'll take down Timber. Another kill for VGR. 12-1. It really has just been VG's game from the start. And DC, they're trying to go for a bit of a push on the top lane with Resolution. But No and the boys will take the tier 2 mid. And this game, it just continues to swing in favor of the boys on VICI.
And they don't have a good target to go on. You do not want to focus this Bristleback, who was built very defensively with the Vanguard and the mech. They wanted to kill the Gyrocopter, but it took so long to bring him down. The Manta, pretty defensive coming up from him, but very good at dispelling the amplified damage, and maybe they'll get a kill on FY, but he already has a Ghost Scepter, which Black mentioned as a key item for him, and it was kind of a question as how he was supposed to farm it, but at this point he is very farm for a Wisp and almost impossible for DC to kill.
Absolutely, as we saw in that last bit of fight, just Resolution feeling that he was going to be able to get away with a free kill on the Aya. Very, very hard to do so. Nine impossible just as a lone wolf. And well, here we have it. Resolution popping the ult. Moo will get the jump in onto DDC. They'll go for this one and goes for the cooldown and we're duped out. So this time DC find themselves a kill. So they can get themselves anything else with Amplify lay down onto Enel, remove it with the Manta Style, and Yang coming in as backup. So DC won't be able to find anything else, but feels like the first time, well, it is in a while, that DC are able to find a kill. Won't pay with any of their own lives. No trying to look to catch someone out. Moo's actually coming back in. Around with this one. He's going to be okay. No catch potential from VG. So DC, they take a kill. It's just a support, but at least it's something.
And that was with the help of the Wolves, and now DDC probably eyeing for his gem and knowing that they don't want to focus Bristle, but he can just be up front with the gem and they can constantly kill the Wolves so the supports can hide in the fog like they really want to. DDC does have his Blink Dagger though, so no huge loss for him.
VG, even off the back of an engagement where they lose one, they still certainly feeling the strength from that they've managed to muster and continue to push down on the top. Moo going for a bit of aggression in the mid lane. DDC jumps in with the telekinesis, TP and relocate coming in. Moo, he's going to get taken down here by his own crush, stolen from by DDC. And VG there with a follow-up. I mean, they just can't afford to go for these pushes like this because every time VG will be there to punish it. They'll smoke up, begin to get the move in on the middle lane. Sacks up. Needs to cross his fingers that he doesn't get spotted out by the two of them here. And oh, he may have just walked into it in one top lane. Misery just coming out, but waiting for two. VG are still maintaining a very, very firm grip on this game.
And DC, knowing that they haven't been able to get really any kills with the Blink Dagger on the Slaughter, aside from that one on the Rubik, trying to turn around their strategy and go for a more late game oriented. Slaughter committing for the Hand of Midas.
Bottom lane, TDC. Indeed, that's not going to work. We trying for the Timber Chain TP, but No's there with the concoction. We trying to buy time. He will get the Bloodstone Suicide out just in time. But again, I mean, DDC managing to force that out in the sense that he had so much set up for the side there with the Stolen Crush still in the telekinesis. It's more than enough time for backup from the boys to come in.
Yeah, and that's little consolation for a struggling DC. 20,000 gold lead for VGR.
Now we're going to have a pause here from Resolution. Hopefully it'll be a brief one. We should be able to get ourselves back on with it. So just making adjustments here to the monitor. It should be fine. Oh, PC restarted. Oh, come on. Windows update, eh? Probably.
How many people have been cursed by Windows 10?
Never mind, go. Okay, that was a quick restart. Impressive computers there. They must have some pretty good SSDs in these ones. Well, here we have it. We're back in. Restarted so quick, he didn't even DC from the game. That was impressive. But back on with this one. DC, need to do something about this. And as we've been saying, it's just this inevitable force that's continuously being built up on the side of VGR, just still looking at this Alchemist. He's had a great game, no. 0-0-8. Pretty much uncontested farm.
That is a good game for Alchemist.
And DDC just outplaying Mu at the moment. Mu unable to get the lock on him. And I mean, let's talk about it again. What went wrong here for DC so far? I mean, the panel, they seem so confident on the fact that the VICI Gaming's draft wasn't going to be enough to stand up against DC at the early stages.
Well, they didn't like the Dazzle pick for good reason. When you lead with the Witch Doctor and Lycan, and then you pick the Dazzle, they didn't have anyone to move around. The Witch Doctor was constantly babysitting the Lycan. They didn't want to leave the Slaughter alone on top, and Dazzle can't rotate and kill mid. Alchemist never felt any sort of pressure. They didn't need the Wisp there, and they could opt for this IO and Bristle in the off lane because of the stationary nature of these two supports. And without any sort of pressure from that, they weren't able to contest the stacks at all. You can kind of see where they were going for when Wii was there by himself, but he can't do it alone. It was that 4v1. It's like, okay, well, we can't go into the jungle at all anymore. We can't contest those stacks. We can't contest the ancient stacks. And VGR just built a tremendous gold lead. I think Nono got a little bit lucky with the bounty runes. But even without those, VGR would still have a massive lead at this point.
And I'm looking towards, of course, Mr. End on the gyrocopter. And he working into that butterfly. I mean, you look at the side of DC there, and they're not going to have an MKB anytime soon on Resolution. At the moment, the Hyperstone. I'm certainly just going to look to try and
the Wolves, are they going to snipe the chicken?
Oh. At the moment, just following him. They don't really have quite enough damage by the looks of it to the courier. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, they were trying.
That's certainly why. I mean, maybe for DC, one of the things we're yet to see them have to do is kind of a high ground defense. I mean, how good is that for DC against VGR's lineup? How good is VGR's lineup at breaking the base?
With Aegis, it should be very easy, especially how Bristle is.
Like this again, we are getting caught out. They'll bring in a relocating Nono with the cooked up concoction. Another easy one for VICI Gaming here.
I really like the Dragon Lance on these short-ranged carries like Gyrocopter because it makes a tower siege a lot better. Yeah. Normally, if you have to go too close, you'll just get spammed down by Timbersaw. Slaughter will keep throwing amps out on you. You'll get hit out by casts. But with the Dragon Lance, it makes it much easier to back in and out and just take some pot shots at the tower without any time for DC to respond. DC thinking about contesting Roche. There's no chance they can do this.
Coming out on his own in the river, will grave himself. Going for the TP, he's actually going to make it. They don't have any disables, so a nice escape from Misery. At the least, DDC, of course, will be able to take away for himself and grab the Shallow Grave, so they're going to have that as well for the next push. A very nice spell to steal for these kind of pushes that VICI Gaming are, of course, now going to look for off the back of that Roshan.
I think ideally he would have stolen the Shadow Wave. I think that'd be a much better grave. It's not like VGR are in danger of dying.
It's not like they're going to die, so yes. That is true, yeah. With the amount of a tank that these guys have built up, it's looking very impressive indeed. It's a full-out butterfly complete now for End. It's just on the way out.
They are so strong compared to DC right now.
This 28-minute phase, Manta, Dragonlance, Butterfly, Aegis, good to go. You look towards the Bristleback. He's halfway through an AC. You know, Nono, of course, with a completed full-on farm and push build. Manta, Radiant, Subterranean, it's all there. Everything ready for VICI Gaming. Here we have it, as you said, just this siege from the sidelines, sitting back, chipping away at the tower, and not a lot that DC can do to stop it. Resolution actually popping the ultimate here, preparing for some kind of fight. But VICI Gaming, they're just not giving it to them. They're playing it incredibly sensibly, and they have just stepped to their performance so much from what we saw in Game 1.
And they have a lot of sustain coming out for End with the mech, with the Wisp. No earn charges yet on the IO, but they can I don't think they can take him down once, especially considering they have the overcharge to mitigate even further damage from them. No Crimson Guard out on the first spec, maybe one more item they'd like to have.
Again getting caught out here on the front lines. Nice crush from me to try and stop the follow-up, and it will allow Wee to timber Chain back into the base. Fortification now coming out. About 20 seconds before the ult's back up on Resolution. Cooldown being used to zone back the side of DC. Saxa, no rocket barrage to the face. He's going to be fine. The racks may not be moved. Getting the crush out. Death Wall being dropped down from the back, but it's just not enough damage at this point. Yang literally taking no damage at all from that Death Ward as he walks it off. And VICI Gaming just preparing themselves to move in again. Chemical Rage back up and available. At the same time, Shapeshift is there for Resolution. They'll try and run in. Maledict down onto the Alchemist, but Telekinesis from DDC holding Resolution in place. They've already lost Saxa. Resolution getting beat down here. They'll take down another, and DC being forced back to the base. And GG is called, Ben. 30 minutes in, 16-2. VICI Gaming Reborn turning around the series hugely after game 1, coming into game 2 like this, with a draft that everyone felt favored the side of DC. What a performance.
The Wisp Bristle kind of executed to perfection on the side of VGR, and DC just no way to handle the greed.
There really wasn't indeed. 0-0-13 on No played the perfect farm game. I mean, I feel really on the side of VICI, just obviously to go to the Rubik, a lot of plays from DDC that set up so much. We saw him constantly catching out Weehar on the Timbersaw with the lead in from the Telekinesis, and then Yang as well. I mean, he was the real carry here. 7-0-8 on his Bristleback.
And I think more so it's a great confidence booster for FY, who kind of got dominated in game number 1, and the question was, can he bounce back from this? Black wondered whether he would be able to recover.
Absolutely, and he really did, as you said. A perfect performance there from VICI Gaming Reborn. I mean, going into game 3, what did DC need to change up here? Was this in any sense of them getting greedy with the draft? I mean, it doesn't feel like it. If anything, the greed draft was VICI Gaming, of course, with the Alchemist. What went wrong for them here in terms of hero picks?
I think just they needed their supports to do more and move around. We've seen Soxa on like a Roaming Doom, Bounty Hunter. These are sort of heroes that I think DC should eye, especially when VICI Reborn concentrates so much on the stacking and farming game.
Yeah, so if, as they said on the panel, you feel that the Dazzle pick may be a weakness here.
Yeah, I think that was it. But